Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today we're talking about Quarkchain. We're doing all the updates for July, and we're here with the CEO, with Qi Zhou. Thank you very much for your time, Qi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you again, Brad.
As always, it's a privilege to talk to you as well, mate. And recently I was in the Silicon Valley at the Quarkchain headquarters. Unfortunately for all those who missed it, the reason was that the sound didn't work, but I'll show you some images to prove that I really did see the Quarkchain headquarters in action, and I was fortunate enough to sit down with the CEO, with Qi himself. Now, Qi, obviously there's a lot to talk about. Now, firstly, for those who don't know about Quarkchain, you do have a PhD from Georgia Tech. You also worked for Google and for Facebook, so certainly you've had the experience of more than 15 years, in fact, in the hot seat in technology. So let's get down to exactly what we want to talk about, and that is the updates. Now, let's firstly talk about projects. There's been a lot happening in the Quarkchain headquarters. 30 projects on board right now. Can you talk us through them?
Yes, so basically we have the three directions in our our partnerships. One is the one-stop solutions for the whole blockchain solutions. For example, we collaborate with several networks for the off-chain solutions, and we also collaborate with DXchain to address the decentralized storage problem, and also Certic for the audit. And we are also have ongoing progress to other collaborations in this direction.
Right.
And also we have several collaborations in terms of protocol layer, some vertical public chain. For example, we work with the draft for the decentralized reputation system. We also work with Quarkchain chain for the public chain for B2B business in terms to address the supply chain issue and also credibility issue.
I see. So, sorry to interrupt, Qi, there, but I want to just clarify a few things. So you mentioned before about there were three fundamental projects, or essentially companies to be, if these projects do come to fruition as companies. And you mentioned Seller, DXchain or D-Chain, depending on how it's known, and also Certic. Now, they are three fundamental or platform-based projects that you're aligning with. Is that correct?
Yeah, those are three fundamental projects where we built this called blockchain solutions.
Okay.
Complete solutions for blockchains.
I see. So you have a special partnership with them. Now, on that, you also mentioned two other key words. You mentioned protocol and you mentioned dApps. So let's talk about them. Let's separate these projects because obviously there's several coming on Quarkchain. Can you talk us through the protocol-related ones first and why there's a special relationship with each of them and Quarkchain?
Yes. So basically, protocol layer and the vertical public blockchain. Basically, we want to provide some a protocol to address some to establish some protocol for our D application, so that can be easy to utilize this. For example, DRAP, which is a decentralized reputation system, and also Quarkchain chain, which basically a public chain which is dedicated for B2B business.
Okay, so that's DREP and Covalent for those who just want to clarify that. So that's two. That's exciting that you are building this network out.
Yeah, and also the Morpheus Lab, which is a one-stop enterprise service that will offer different kind of some DApp templates and also services, so that the enterprise can just simplify their enterprise development. And they also will build on top of us. Okay. There are also others for example, Anchor, which is a distributed cloud computing platform. They're using advanced chipset features like SGX to ensure trusted computation.
I see. And I wanted to ask you there, as the CEO, are these signed partnerships, Qi? Because you mentioned Anchor, Morpheus Labs, and the others. So you're signing up with all of these for long-term partnerships?
Yes.
That's quite substantial. So what are the other protocol and vertical layers that we're talking about?
Another is VPP, which will promise they will provide a decentralized issue exchange for specific financial contracts like derivatives and options and others. So this is just a small portion, and we are actually growing this in this area.
I see. Well, for those who would like to know more, I'll certainly place on the screen a full picture of these listings of the protocols for you to understand and come to know. As Qi has mentioned, these are signed partnerships with Quarkchain, and they're quite serious. Now, let's talk about the partnerships more generally as well, Qi. Obviously, it's been a lot of work in the process to have these people sign on board in these projects. Rather, tell us a bit about just how developed these partnerships are in terms of some of the names by name, and we'll list them as well.
Yeah, we have like investors from all over the world, including United States, European, Singapore, China, and also Korea. And so this investor will help build our global ecosystems. For example, we have the largest funds, crypto funds in both Singapore and Korea. So they have a great lot of resources locally. And also we have some good investors in the United States, including 500 startups and Dragon Draper. And also we have the investors in famous in China, including like a Pre-Angel, Block VC, Fenbushi, Link VC.
I see. So you're covering all your bases. You're going from Korea, China, US, making sure that you have the financial resources to build this out. Now, how is that going? You've been going for a while now. How is the money flow in terms of all of the capital you've built? How is that being spent in the through the Quarkchain headquarters?
Oh, so right now we are growing our both in development and also other team members rapidly. So we have for example, right now we have 4 offices around the world. We have the base in Palo Alto, United States, and we have 2 offices in China. One is in Beijing, another in Shanghai. And we just opened our office in Korea. We just named our head of Korea, which is Jonathan Kim. He is has a lot of experience in both business development and also marketing. And also he's local in Korea, so he can help us to communicate with locals.
I see. So that must be exciting because you're building out offices, you're using that money to build out the ecosystems in these countries, and no doubt the brand of Quarkchain is now growing as a very prominent platform, as we've seen in the past with other ones, with the like of Ethereum and even Neo. So really, Quarkchain is moving full steam ahead.
Yeah, and we are also opening new offices in further areas, like including Russia, Japan, Singapore, and European. So there are a lot of good news for us.
I see. I wonder when Australia is also on the map for that. We'll look forward to seeing that. Now let's talk, Qi, about the fund. You have established an eco fund. The starting point is $50 million. Can you talk us through what that is and what the plan is with the eco fund?
So the eco fund is more focused on the eco, which is the ecosystem on top of the Quarkchain. Basically, we try to identify 2 sets of projects. One is the projects that would like to build some new applications, DApps on top of blockchain with raise transaction per second needs. And so the eco fund will help them to speed up the development process to address the early investment issues, and also help them to grow both in terms of the marketing and also community. Another directions basically is the some companies, they have some traditional IT resources, to have some users, but they want to enter the blockchain market. And so we can help them to quickly, for example, migrate the users and also build kind of the applications and also applications with our technologies.
I see. So it's designed to really build out the upper layers of the ecosystem to really develop and allow the Quarkchain ecosystem to flourish. Now, I wanted to ask you directly, we've seen some other blockchain platforms develop their own side capital firms and capital funds. Is there a plan in the Quarkchain, boardroom meeting plan to develop that as well at some point?
So Quarkchain Eco Fund, the top priority is still the eco. We also have the fund that aims to probably invest some projects, but have long-term probably partnerships with Quarkchain, for example, from more horizontal perspective.
So you're much more focused on building out Quarkchain.
Yeah, Quarkchain ecosystem.
I see. Now let's talk about your global presence. You've been in different positions around the world on stage presenting. You recently were in San Jose. Can you talk us through what Quarkchain is doing to become more prominent and more well known throughout the globe?
We have a lot of, like, for example, marketing and also local events these days. So, for example, we just visited Singapore the first time. We held a meetup with local like projects, with like Morpheus Lab and also others, and also gave us some more details of what Quarkchain is doing, and give us some demos. And for example, in Beijing on July the 7th, we gave a demo of our latest testnet, and be able to demonstrate high transaction per second over 300 people with live demo. And also we visited Korea last month and visit local projects and also like events. So that we also have a meetup in Korean, so that we can, because Korea is also a very large country with a high trade volumes, and so we also put like a very high priority in the Korean market.
So you mentioned Qi there, your testnet. Now obviously it's something that you would be very proud of. It is something that's publicly available on your website. Now you mentioned you showed a demo of this. I wanted to ask you firstly, before we talk the testnet, why did you decide to disclose and show this as a demo in those countries as opposed to the West? Because I understand it was in a presentation in Singapore, and also, as you said, you're moving out in the Asian sort of area. Talk us through the presentation, how it went, and what was the reception from the audience?
We actually we have building like a very good community in the internationalized. For example, our Telegram grows organically with more than like 100 people in different, both in Telegram, WeChat, and different areas, but all of them from internationally. But we also want to raise our awareness in the Asia countries, because some restrictions of the crowd sale, so we have to maybe postpone. But right now we have a testnet with this like technologies, we are able to demonstrate to more audiences. So we want to be also like, for example, Asia, like Korea, and also China, and also others, to be aware like this our technologies. I
see. So you chose to really disclose this information in Asia because you wanted to become more known in that region. Qi, obviously the performance of the testnet is important. How can people go and verify the testnet's success?
So we have a public website, testnet.quarkchain.io. Everybody can browse the website, browse every block, and also the network topologies, and also once we distribute the testnet tokens, people can freely transfer tokens and also deploy any smart contracts like smart EVM backward compatible smart contracts on top of us. And so testnet has 256 shards with like 50 clusters and more than 6,000 nodes running 12,000 concurrent EVMs. Which is like, for example, right now mainnet of the Ethereum is roughly running 16,000 nodes. So
Qi, comparatively, already at the testnet level, you're running at far greater speeds and with far more success than Ethereum. If we just get down to the comparatives. If we look at the comparison between you as Quarkchain and we look at Ethereum, you mentioned some of those numbers. Already just at the testnet level, you're already far exceeding the expectations, perhaps even the performance of Ethereum, which is far beyond its testnet.
Yes, because we really want to demonstrate something that is live. For example, we will periodically generate a load test so that it will generate traffic with 3 million transactions each time, which will basically process in roughly 6 minutes with roughly peak performance to 14,000 transactions per second.
I see.
And can borrow the details of this load test and also the blocks and transaction within the load test.
I see. Now let's talk about the effects of having something already at testnet level that's quite scalable. Now, right now, you're looking at 9 projects that are going to be utilizing the Quarkchain token as for their ICO. That's really substantial given that you're building out this capability. Should Ethereum be scared? And can you tell us about these 9 projects?
Oh, we have 9 projects in different areas that will raise like a QKC in basically different, both in term maybe in private sale and also public sale.
Right.
Like covalent chain, which is basically, I already mentioned, is a public chain to address the B2B business issue, and also DX chain that address the decentralized storage, and
so that's 2, and DREP, that's 3.
DREP, and Block Party, which is they have a product which is Playtable, which is a very large size, I would say touch screen, and people can play the table games on top of that.
I see.
And so they can use blockchain to exchange a lot of assets.
Okay, so is that your 5th one?
That's the 4th one.
4th one?
There's a VPP, which is decentralized, like a financial contracts, like for example derivative options, and Anchor, which is decentralized cloud computing, and MXC, which is like basically blockchain smart bidding and also interchain data market, and LangChain, which is a distributed data access financing platform, and there's also EOM, which is a blockchain game distributed platform.
So it sounds like you're really covering a multitude of bases here because you want to be quite diverse in your first 9. But I wanted to talk to you directly about this, Qi. You've mentioned what you can do already. You haven't even reached mainnet yet, and you're already showing some key aspects of your testnet with regard to it being published. Should Ethereum be scared? Because quite simply, this is the first 9, and no doubt there's many more to come.
So I think Ethereum is a great in terms it's its first probably the most popular smart contract platform, and a lot of ICO on top of that. And for ours, like Quarkchain, we aims to address the problem that those applications requires a large amount of the transaction per second, and that's why these projects, for example, DX chain, DREP, and also like a covalent chain, all these projects, they will more focus on they need some kind of transaction per second, so they would like to closely work with us and collaborate with us and to address their public chain scalability issues for their applications.
I see. But the question I wanted to ask you though is that no doubt right now Ethereum has thousands of dApps of applications that are onboarding onto their platform. But if you're offering something better, something faster, surely, it seems reasonable to suggest that there's a propensity or there's an interest from even these thousands of applications to transition across. Do you foresee that happening in the future where several of them make that transition from slower platforms into more scalable, more expedient ones?
Yes, that's possible as long as the application they require such kind of the scalability. For example, they have a huge user base that will periodically submit transactions, probably on maybe hourly basis or daily basis. Then that will be a great platform for them.
I see. Now let's talk about subsequent projects. Are you aware currently of any others beyond this 9, Qi? Are there more knocking at your door, or are there ones that you haven't disclosed to us yet that are about to utilize the Quarkchain platform?
Yeah, of course, there are a lot of projects that we are also work day and night to it with them and to see how we can build these collaborations. And we also have very high criteria to select all those partners and raise these QKCs in those projects raise QKC with us. Also, we are also have also more events. For example, we just hold our AMA sections in our Telegram to our local, have invited those projects to our local community to explain what is the impact of our collaborations. And a lot of people ask a lot of interesting questions, and it becomes very, our community are very, very interested in and also like open a lot of imaginations of future collaborations.
I see. Now, obviously, at the moment, the market itself, Qi, is a concern to many. What is your response to those who are concerned with regard to the volatility and the future, viability of this industry?
Yeah, I think the market right now is like also still watching the blockchain performance. So there's a lot of the volatility mainly because the people's uncertainty of the blockchain's future, and that's one thing we want to also address in our like once our mainnet is launched.
Yes.
So we hope that with this collaboration with these projects, and also we can able to build some make this a lot of dApps become solid and also be able to quickly deploy on top of us, and so that they are able to deliver like true benefits to end users.
Absolutely. So, Qi, obviously there's a lot going on with Quarkchain, and it's exciting to hear about those developments, but there's also some key points I'd like to discuss with you with regards to controversies. Now, specifically, they are Binance related and also with regard to your raise itself, with the money and the way in which you raised in your ICO the capital. So can you tell us a bit about the drama that you had with Binance and what exactly happened there?
So Binance actually, well, we are delisted in Binance, and Binance, as we know, is the largest exchange, crypto exchange in the world. And actually, they have done a very comprehensive background check on us, and they review our code bases. And once they finish the review, they like the project, and just we go through all the listing procedure very quickly.
I see.
That's why we finish our ICOs the following days, we just list in Binance.
I see. So you're quite proud of the fact that Binance, you did list quickly on them and that Binance is a supporter. But let's talk about that in the context of the raise, because there was a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt with regard to some suggestions that Binance, as well as the raise, were complicit in some way in the controversy. So I want to be really direct with you. What exactly happened? What was part of this controversy that you no doubt as CEO heard with regard to the concerns the community had about how your raise happened with monthly design of unlocked tokens? What was the issue that you heard coming from the Telegram and from people around the world?
So first of all, this locking process of this our private sale of investments are already published before our public sale. Including when is vested and when how much are vested. And so actually we are also following the procedure, and one of the procedure is basically the first vesting token will be vested after 1 month being listed in the exchange, which is also when we publish before the public sale. Our original main purpose is try to protect the public sale people who join while our crowd sale after being whitelisted, because the investors basically have some bonus, so we want to have more priority for those who are using the original price and join our public sale.
Okay, and that's really important that we can discuss this openly, because this is the nature of crypto, in the sense that if everything is to be transparent, if the lockups are transparent, then and there's a concern for the community, we need to ask that, and we appreciate that you are discussing that. Well, it's been very exciting to hear about these developments, quite sincerely, Qi, as someone who has been following this for some time. Now, many people would love to hear perhaps a final statement from you for July. What would you like to say to all those who are engaged with the Quarkchain ecosystem, or for those who perhaps are just starting out in understanding what Quarkchain is trying to do?
So I would like to thank you for all the projects and partners and also communities, investors that help the Quarkchain and grow to at this moment. And then we now have our testnet that is public testnet that is able to come to at this moment to demonstrate these great potentials. And we would like to welcome more partners and projects to work with us and use our testnet to explore further collaborations. And also we will invite our community to use our testnet with potential applications that we are gradually deploy on top of us. So there will be a lot of surprises.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing and hearing about those in the coming future through the social media that you do provide. Thank you very much for your updates, and thank you sincerely for your time. Obviously, it's quite late for you. This is Qi Zhou. He is the CEO of Quarkchain, and obviously it's Blockchain Brad signing off. Until next time, thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.